Opera wasn't born in a concert hall. It began as a secret society's wild experiment to resurrect ancient Greek drama. The result was a world of rock star singers and scandalous drama that rivaled its own on-stage plots. A chilling silence falls over the opulent Florentine palace. The year is around the close of the 16th century, and a group of intellectuals, poets, and musicians known as the Florentine Camerata have gathered, not for a grand feast or a political debate, but to resurrect a ghost. Their mission is audacious: to bring back the dramatic power of ancient Greek tragedy, a form of art so profound that they believed it could stir the very soul. They didn't know it yet, but they were not just reviving a lost art form. They were creating an entirely new one, a theatrical spectacle woven with music, a world of forbidden passion, deadly rivalry, and soaring human emotion. This is not the stuffy history you learned in a textbook. This is the true crime, the soap opera, the gritty, scandalous, and utterly compelling story behind the world of opera. And if you're as fascinated by the untold dramas of history as we are, now is the perfect time to subscribe to our channel and join us on this deep dive into the archives. The early operas were a world away from the grand, polished spectacles we know today. They were intimate, experimental affairs, performed for a select few. The first true opera, Dafne, composed by Jacopo Peri, was staged in the late 1590s. It was a humble beginning, a whisper that would soon become a roar. But the real spark, the moment the flame of opera truly ignited, came with Claudio Monteverdi and his masterwork, L'Orfeo, the story of Orpheus, in the year 1607. This was not a mere sung play. It was a journey into the depths of human despair and triumph. Monteverdi was the first to truly understand the emotional power of music combined with drama, a concept that was revolutionary. He gave his characters distinct musical motifs, much like a film score today, allowing the audience to feel their joy, their agony, and their love without a single spoken word. The scandal was not far behind. As opera spread from the courts of Italy to the public theaters of Venice in the mid-17th century, it shed its highbrow, intellectual origins and embraced the masses. This commercialization brought with it a new wild energy. The theaters became places of social mingling, intrigue, and even riot. Boxes were rented by wealthy patrons for the entire season, not just for the performance. Here, flirtations flourished, business deals were struck, and plots were hatched. The music was often secondary to the social scene. Imagine a dimly lit theater, the air thick with perfume and whispered gossip, while a diva on stage pours her heart out. This was the scene of endless drama, both on and off the stage. One of the most scandalous aspects of this era was the rise of the castrato, a male singer who, through a barbaric medical procedure, maintained a high, powerful voice. Castrati were the rock stars of the 17th and 18th centuries, idolized and pursued by noble women and commoners alike. Their voices were said to be otherworldly, capable of a range and purity that a woman's voice could not achieve. The most famous of them all was Farinelli, a legend whose voice was rumored to have had a hypnotic effect on his audiences, including King Philip V of Spain, who was so taken with Farinelli's singing that he employed him to sing the same 4 arias every night for a decade to soothe his depression. The moral and ethical implications of this practice, however, were a dark undercurrent to the beauty of the music. It was a secret history of immense talent, born from unspeakable sacrifice, a haunting twist in the tale of opera's development. The era of bel canto, beautiful singing, in the early 1800s, brought with it new forms of scandal. The operas of Gioacchino Rossini, Gaetano Donizetti, and Vincenzo Bellini were filled with passionate, often tragic, heroines. The audiences were obsessed with them, The singers, particularly the divas, held immense power. They could demand changes to the score, refuse to perform if their rivals were also on the bill, and cause a public uproar with their love affairs. One of the greatest divas, Maria Malibran, a star of the 1830s, was a true rebel. Her life was a tragic opera in itself, marked by a disastrous marriage, a passionate affair with the violinist Charles de Berriot, and a fatal horse-riding accident at the age of 28, adding a dramatic final act to her short but brilliant life. But the scandals were not limited to the stage. The composers themselves lived lives worthy of their dramatic scores. Giuseppe Verdi, the titan of Italian opera, was a man of immense genius and even greater personal drama. His works, like La Traviata, The Fallen Woman, which told the story of a courtesan who sacrifices her love for the sake of her lover's family, were shocking for their time. The opera was, initially, a disaster. A flop on its opening night in the year 1853. The audience found it too modern, too raw. They were used to stories of gods and ancient heroes, not the grimy reality of a woman dying of consumption in their own time. It was only after Verdi reworked the score and had it performed in a smaller, more intimate setting that it found its audience and became one of the most beloved operas of all time. Verdi's life was a mystery worthy of a true crime podcast. His first wife and 2 children died in a period of less than 4 years, leaving him devastated. The grief nearly ended his career. He later took up with the soprano Giuseppina Strepponi, a woman with her own complicated past and a series of illegitimate children. Their unmarried cohabitation was a source of scandal in their conservative town, a defiance of social norms that mirrored the defiance in his own operas. Verdi's music, therefore, wasn't just a work of art. It was a reflection of his tumultuous, rebellious life. The late 19th century brought a new wave of opera verismo, or realism. Composers like Giacomo Puccini embraced stories of ordinary people, their passions, and their betrayals. His opera Tosca from the year 1900 is a masterpiece of drama and suspense, filled with political intrigue, a sadistic police chief, and a tragic double suicide. The plot twists and turns like a true crime thriller, with a finale so shocking that it leaves audiences breathless. Puccini himself was a man of intense, sometimes tortured, passions. He was obsessed with his heroines and the women in his life. The most tragic story is that of his housekeeper, Doria Manfredi, whom his jealous wife accused of having an affair with the composer. The baseless accusations led to a public scandal, and Doria, unable to bear the shame, committed suicide. An autopsy later revealed she was a virgin. This real-life tragedy, driven by jealousy and rumor, is a chilling parallel to the very dramas Puccini created on stage. The history of opera is a hidden narrative of power, lust, murder, and redemption. It is a story of artists who defied convention, of singers who became legends, and of audiences who, for centuries, have been held captive by the sheer, unadulterated spectacle of it all. It's a world of secret plots and public feuds, a fusion of high art and low gossip. It proves that the most compelling stories are not always found in history books, but in the forbidden passions and tragic scandals that unfolded both on and off the stage. From the quiet, radical beginnings in Florence to the public scandals of Venice and the personal tragedies of its greatest composers, the history of opera is a tapestry of human drama. It is a world where a forbidden love affair, a fatal horse ride, or a false accusation could inspire a masterpiece or end a life. If you've been dazed, wowed, and left thinking by this incredible journey, then make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell, and join our community of history detectives. We've got more astonishing tales, deeper dives, and mind-bending historical revelations coming your way. so you won't want to miss a single episode of Unearthing the Past. Unraveling history's mysteries. Become a history buff with us today.